Alrighty, people, what is happening? So, obviously, the big news today is that one Christian McCaffrey is not going to play. That's not really the big news. And, we talked about this throughout the week. We didn't expect him to play. We'll talk about how that impacts rankings with Jordan Mason and everything, and I'll answer all your questions today. But the even bigger news beyond this is that, I feel like the consensus was CMC doesn't play this week, but people believe that most likely in, weeks 3, CMC is probably back out there. Now, unfortunately, that is not the case. Christian McCaffrey, there's a chance that he goes on IR. So that is going to be difficult to bear with if that is true. The 49ers are considering placing him on IR. Apparently yesterday was his worst day with the injury, meaning he did not progress. He took a step back. Now, I just want to be very clear, guys, that this has not been reported by any reliable source right now that he will be put on IR. It is mostly speculation, unless somebody in the chat would like to prove me wrong. Happy to, I want to see that report if it's really out there. They are talking about putting him on IR. There is really just speculation right now. It certainly could happen. We've got Deepak here, who is a medical doctor. He says his pain is worsening, which means he could rupture his Achilles by playing, and that would torpedo the career of a 28-year-old. Problem is that 4 weeks out still doesn't guarantee he's healed. Have to play this one by ear. So I'll be honest, right now, this looks pretty rough. This looks pretty rough for any Christian McCaffrey owner, just from the perspective of trying to understand when you get your superstar back, trying to understand at what point can you put him in your roster, at what point do you finally get the reward of drafting the best player in fantasy football. And right now that seems less clear than it's ever been. So unfortunately, if you have CMC, this is very difficult to navigate. You guys need to get wins right now. You can't afford to wait until week 6, 7, whenever it is that he's going to be back. So this is something that we do need to monitor. Now, thinking about this week specifically, let's talk about this week. And let's specifically talk about Jordan Mason. Okay? So Jordan Mason, excuse me, I said if Christian McCaffrey was out this week, he'd be a top 12 play for me. Thinking through it now, I now have Jordan Mason as my RB8 on the week. That might seem a little aggressive, but it doesn't feel like it's aggressive to me. We've got a player attached to one of the best offenses in the NFL. He's not going to share work based off what we saw last time. He had over 23 touches in the last game he played, and they're playing a Minnesota team that they're likely going to be up on. So I could easily see 20 touches again for Jordan Mason this week. 20 touches in that offense, behind that offensive line, with Kyle Shanahan calling up plays. That's my RB8 on the week. And honestly, that might be too low. We'll have to wait and find out. But I appreciate y'all being here with me. That is the biggest news to update. Outside of that, I'd also say it doesn't impact this week because I don't think any of you were anticipating him playing. But Marquise Brown, his situation is really, really rough, guys. Hollywood Brown is officially going on IR, and the reports are that Hollywood Brown could actually be gone for a while. It's months, not weeks, after he's been put on the IR. There are certain people who, now that he's had to have this surgery for his, shoulder or, clavicle bone, whatever the fudge this is, okay? A lot of people are saying he might not even play in the regular season. He just might be an X factor for the playoffs. So, shout out to Mason Dodd from Flock Fantasy who just traded for him. It would have been a bad trade, to be honest, even if Hollywood Brown was playing this week. But if you guys didn't watch that trade, Mason, look, we all make bad moves. But yeah, that's not going to be good if you own Hollywood. But what will be great, and by the way, if you're in smaller leagues, I think you can drop Hollywood at this point. I really do, unless you have an IR spot. Rest of season rankings for Rashee Rice. He's now my wide receiver 11. That might not even be aggressive enough. I don't see why Rashee Rice shouldn't be in the Garrett Wilson, Nico Evans conversation. He certainly is for me. Then thinking about a name like Xavier Worthy, my wide receiver 33 right now, rest of season. I prefer him over Higgins, Keenan, Ridley, Keon, Jason, Adunze, Terry, Deontay. So if you drafted Rashee Rice, if you drafted Xavier Worthy, then odds are you are feeling very good about your fantasy football team right now. All right, that is the main update. I am going to answer questions. Obviously, we'll turn this into a Q&A. Do me a favor, smash that like button. I got a like goal today of 100 likes. With your help, I know we can get there. So be a friend, hit that like button. Thanks for all the subscribes. I do have to change the goal because you guys smashed 25K, so I got to put up a new one. You guys are absolutely incredible. I am going to answer questions in order from top to bottom. So why don't we go ahead and let's start with Michael here with the super chat. Guys, super chats will skip the queue. They will get your question prioritized. You are under no obligation to drop a super chat, but it does skip the queue for you. Michael says 10-man PPR, Kyler, Nico, Waddle, Kyron, Pacheco, Kincaid, Ford. He's got Ridley, Ladd, Bryan, Singletary, Corum, Irving on his bench. On the IR, he's got CMC and Brooks. Does he need to make trades? Pick up Tank or Demarcus Robinson. I think Demarcus Robinson's a fine pickup. Tank is too. I do feel like, unfortunately, for Tank, he's going to need an ETN injury to be relevant. Whereas with Demarcus, I think he's a startable flex right now. So if you're looking for a flex right now, that's the direction I might go myself. But yeah, look, with this latest news, I would totally be open to shopping CMC, guys. If you can find your way into a Devon Achane, a Saquon, a Breece, if you can get some version of Kyron in something, Gibbs in something, Mixon and Worthy, for example, I think those are realistic trades that you should consider right now. But we don't trade Brooks. Hold on to him. He might help you later on. What's up, Daniel07? Appreciate the super chat, man. Very kind of you. And he says, back on the ground. Yes, sir. Mr. 305 Worldwide here. He says, Xavier Worthy versus Amari Cooper. Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm assuming you're asking me this week, not rest of season. So, you know, I have actually thought through my adjustments for season long for Xavier Worthy, but we haven't actually thought through weekly. So let's do that together real quick. Okay, so thinking through weekly, would I rather have Worthy or Kirk and Brian Thomas? I do think I'd rather have Worthy over those two names right now. I just am really scared about the Cleveland defense. So we will put Worthy at 34, but remember, he did only have 4 touches that last game. We are still going to play Amari Cooper over Xavier Worthy. Just, you know, he's the alpha in his offense. It's hard to not bank on that. But I appreciate the super chat, Daniel. Again, guys, if you want your question to skip the queue, just drop a donation and you will skip the queue. Otherwise, I'm going in order. And the next donation is from Chronified. And he has a question here. He says, Evan Ingram or Likely? This is his last question. Yeah. Likely's interesting, right? Because it's a really hard situation to gauge. Right now, I still have Evan Ingram a spot or two ahead of Isaiah Likely. I do need to see it in back-to-back weeks, but I would totally recognize and sit here and say that Likely has the higher floor. So if you want to party, you go Isaiah Likely. If you want to play it a little bit safer, I do think Evan Ingram's a fine option, but it is very close, man. And honestly, if you just want to ride the wave, I don't see a reason why you couldn't just ride the wave there. All right, appreciate y'all. Thanks for the donations. Super chats do skip the queue. Otherwise, I'm going in order. And the next one in order is from top to bottom. It's V. Rosado. I think I'm saying that right. He says, yo, should I trade Mason and Shakir for Evans? Current running back room is Breece, Brown, Zamir, Brooks. To be honest, Rosado, you don't have the running back depth to make this move. Who are you starting at RB2 if you make this move? Chase Brown? No, not startable. Zamir White? No, not startable. Jonathan Brooks when he comes back, sure, but that's just not. You don't have the ammunition to make the move, friend. What's up, Cluggy? He says Stroud, Jefferson, Evans. What's the question here? Who do I start as a second flex, Moss or Likely? Yeah, I'll probably go Likely here, just especially if it's in a PPR format. That's the way I would go. What's up, Donald? He says Dobbins or Malik Neighbors, full PPR, and Jets D or my Bears. So we're going to go Malik Neighbors this week. I do love Dobbins. I do love Neighbors. These are both like starts of the week for me at their positions, along with a couple other names. But we are going to go Malik Neighbors versus the Washington Commanders defense. I'm telling you guys, I told you all last week, Chris Godwin would smash. He smashed versus the Commanders. Every wide receiver that plays the Commanders every week will smash. It's not... It's script proof, I promise you. But Jets D, or I'm going to go the Jets D. I mean, you got Mayonnaise Boy throwing balls from Tennessee. I mean, the bro... Will Levis already has the meme of the year. Y'all see the meme where he's just on the ground like, oh no, what have I done after he threw the interception? And now he has to face the Jets secondary. That's way too many opportunities for turnovers to say no to that. All right, we got a super chat here from Frizzle. So Frizzle skipping the queue. Appreciate the donation, man. He says, should I hold on to Ridley or trade him away? I would be looking to trade Ridley away personally. The bet on Ridley was a bet on Will Levis being better. And respectfully, after one game, sure, I could be overreacting, but I've seen enough to say there won't be consistency with Calvin Ridley. Now DeAndre Hopkins is back. I think maybe 3 of his 7 targets were actually catchable in week 1. Now he's going to face the New York Jets. Think about how disappointing he was in week 1, and now imagine an even worse matchup for him. How are you going to sell him after this week, right? That's the real question you should be asking yourself. If you're not in on him, how could you sell him next week after? And look, maybe I'm wrong, but playing the Jets secondary is not going to probably result in a very good outcome. So if you can trade Ridley for Zay Flowers, I'd honestly rather have Ladd McConkey too. Like being straight up honest with you guys, now that I'm thinking about this, I'd probably rather have Ladd McConkey. Is that too aggressive? Maybe some people might think so, and you know that's fair enough. But Ladd McConkey gets 7 targets from Justin Herbert, or do we want to get 7 targets from Will Levis? I'd rather have T. Higgins, who's injured right now. I'd rather have Xavier Worthy, Jameson Williams rest of season, Amari Cooper. I'd rather buy low on Jaden Reed. You know, right now that his quarterback is still a little bit unknown. So that's the way I would go, Frizzle. I hope that is helpful, man. I do appreciate you donating. You've been very, very kind this season with the donations. Hey, guys, we got a like goal today of 100 likes. Be a friend. Smash that like button to show some support. We're almost halfway there already. You guys are incredible. All right, the next super chat here is from Miles Morales. Appreciate you, brother. Hey, when is the next movie coming out, man? I've been waiting so long for the next Miles Morales movie. It's literally the one movie I need out now. That strike they did in LA with the whole writing just killed the vibes. He says Wan'Dale or Watson rest of the season. I'm assuming Watson means Christian Watson. And this isn't a silly question, by the way. I think this is a fair question. Wan'Dale had 12 targets, right? I mean, 12 targets in week 1. But I think if I knew Jordan Love played week 3 onwards, it would be Christian Watson still. You know, Christian Watson, this is almost the Walmart version of my conversation I've had all week between Zay Flowers and Jameson Williams. If you guys don't know, if you haven't been watching the channel too closely, all week I have been saying Zay Flowers, 11 targets for him is like equivalent to 5 targets for Jameson Williams in Detroit. It's just the targets aren't equal because of the big play potential, and Wan'Dale doesn't have that big play potential, unfortunately. So we are going to go Christian Watson there, and ultimately just hope that Jordan Love is back next week. That would be ideal for us, right? All right, thanks for the donation. Appreciate you, Miles. Let's get that next movie out, baby. We got a super chat here from Bruce. Appreciate you, Bruce. Bruce. He says, who would you take at flex in full PPR, Najee or Jameson Williams? Also, your thoughts. Okay, let's start there, okay? Najee or Jameson Williams? And Styles is 100% right. This is exactly where I was going to go to this question. Do you like to party? Okay? All last week, we asked y'all, do you like to party? And when you asked about Xavier Worthy last week, Brian Thomas last week, Jameson Williams last week, the question was, do you like to party? And what does do you like to party means? It means, look, that party could go absolutely incredible. I mean, I want to show up to the function. I want to see what the vibes are, but the vibes might not be right. You might have the worst night of your life. You might have the best night of your life. You might meet your future spouse, right? But parties don't always go the way you want them to. Jameson Williams is dealing with an ankle injury. So clearly the safer play is Najee Harris versus the Denver Broncos, who are very bad against the run defense. However, let me just encourage you for a second if you do want to start Jameson Williams, because for me it would be JMO. I like to party. Think about this. How many touches do you want Najee Harris to get this week? What if I told you last week he touched the ball 22 times and Jaylen Warren was coming off an injury? 22 touches and you couldn't get 10 PPR points. If he doesn't score a touchdown, he's going to be terrible in fantasy every single week. The only weeks you'll ever want Najee Harris is when he scores a touchdown. Now, to be fair, this is maybe the best matchup he's going to have for most of the season. So if you're going to play him at any week, it's this week. But I like to party. I'm going Jameson, but go with your gut. Also, DeMarcus or Lazard. Look, guys, I've been saying this all week. I could be completely wrong. But to me, Allen Lazard is fool's gold. I have no interest in starting Allen Lazard. Yes, he had 2 touchdowns. One of those was from a backup. And Mike Williams was on a snap count. I think Mike Williams is going to make this very difficult for Allen Lazard. And even if there wasn't a Mike Williams, I don't even think I'd want to start Allen Lazard. So we're going to go DeMarcus Robinson there. And look, I could look like a fool for sure, but that's the way I'm going. He says, thanks for your input. It is appreciated. I appreciate you, Bruce. Thanks for the super chats, guys. Thanks for the donations. They do skip the queue. No pressure, obviously. But the next one is from Carlos. He says, would you trade James Cook and Devonta Smith for Chase Brown and Chase? Would you trade James Cook and Devonta Smith for Chase and Chase Brown? Look, I was not a Chase Brown guy this offseason. A lot of people are. I don't know that I would, man. Jamar Chase is clearly the best option. Right? Like, by far, he's clearly the best option, point blank, period. But no, we are going to rock with the James Cook and Devonta Smith side of this. Like, surely you can get something better than Chase Brown. In what league, in what format is Chase Brown even startable? It's going to take a Zach Moss injury for him to even sniff your lineup. So I don't think I could do it. I appreciate the donation, man. Although I'm totally willing to sell high on James Cook, by the way. Not because I don't believe in him, because I do not think he's like a 30-point-per-game scorer. All right, next super chat here. Appreciate the donations, guys. You guys are keeping them coming. That's awesome. That's what she said. Daniel says, lighter note, who is worse, Watson or Daniel Jones? Watson or Daniel Jones? Yeah. This is our first time on the stream we've used this image today, but I think it is necessary given the question. You know, every once in a while you get a question on the stream, and the only thing you can think is, could it get any worse between these two names? It is hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby time when we're talking about Deshaun Watson and Daniel Jones. I mean, look, here's the reality. At least when you roster Daniel Jones, you know you're not rostering someone who has the weirdest personal life you could possibly think of. So I guess we'll go with Danny Dimes just from a morality perspective. We got a super chat here from Jesse. I appreciate you, Daniel. And Spank says you keep using that meme wrong. Hey, we're making the meme what we want it to be, okay? I don't know. I don't even know. I'm having fun. Jesse, appreciate the donation, man. He is skipping the queue with that super chat. He says start to Jason, Wandale, Cooks, Adonai, and Shaheed. Yeah, that's a good question, Jesse, because you've kind of asked a question of all these players you kind of lumped into the same tier, to be honest. These are all guys that could completely bust your week. They are all guys that could completely, you know, one play could be the determining factor for them. I do really love Wandale versus the Commanders this week. I'm not going to lie to you. That might be someone I want to play of all these options. Just thinking matchup, the Commanders let everybody into the end zone. They were escorting Buccaneers into the end zone last week for free. You want to get into the? Would you like to get into the end zone, sir? Mr. Evans, would you like to get into the end zone? Yes, great. Fantastic. Mr. McMillan, would you like to get into the end zone? You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. Mr. Godwin, have yours. So I think Wandale's a great play this week. I really do. So I'll go him based off matchup. And honestly, Jesse, like this has to be a gut call for you. My heart says JSN, but my head says Shaheed. I hope that's helpful. I appreciate the donation, man. Robert, thanks for the donation. Appreciate you big time, Robert. And where's his question? He says, full PPR pick 2, London Marv Tank. Also thoughts on London rest of season. We are going to go with London and Marv here. Tank Dell could totally have a good game, but there's a lot of mouths to feed over there in Houston. Thoughts on London rest of season? My thoughts are that this week is everything. It's a great matchup. If Drake London can't smash this week, I don't know when you can trust him. Honestly, I'm more concerned about Kirk Cousins than I am Drake London. As crazy as it sounds, I almost feel like if Michael Penix was in there, you'd feel better. Kirk Cousins is just, there's no mobility in the pocket. The guy is scared to move. So, it's a concern. It's a real concern. I appreciate the donation, Robert. Very, very kind of you. Hey, guys, super chats do skip the queue. Otherwise, I'm going in order. No obligation to donate, but that is how you can get your question answered. I'm going from top to bottom here outside of the super chats. And the first one that I can see is Ace. He says, what's up? Should I trade Montgomery to try and get a better wide receiver? I have Pacheco, Mason, and Brooks. To be honest, that RB2 spot seems really shaky if you don't have Montgomery to me, man. Yes, Jordan Mason is playable right now, and if CMC goes on the IR, he'll be playable. And look, there's a chance, I guess, in theory, that CMC could be out a while. That's totally possible. But I'd be trying to trade Jordan Mason, personally. Like, can you turn Jordan Mason into Brandon Ayuk? We've seen that. Can you turn Jordan Mason into Rashee Rice, Jamar Chase, Debo? One of those names. That's what I would prefer. But if you're going to trade Montgomery away, you're probably in the range of like a DK Metcalf, Devonta Smith, DJ Moore range. So that's the kind of range you're in. All right, we did get a super chat from Brent. So Brent is skipping the queue. Appreciate you, Brent. Thanks for the donation, man. Thanks for the support. He says, pick one, Pickens, Worthy, Jameson, or Thomas Jr. Thank you, sir. He said, thank you, sir. Pickens, Worthy, Jameson, or Thomas Jr. This could go so wrong for so many of these names, and it could go so right for so many of these names. That's not a cop-out. That's just facts. Let's look at what the rankings say. Okay, so we've got Pickens here at 33. We've got Worthy here at 34. We've got Brian Thomas at 35. And we've got Jameson at 31. So we are going to rock with Jameson Williams, but he is dealing with an injury. If there's a report that comes out, where Jameson is, limited, we will be comfortable going. I'll be honest, this is the first time that I've been tested here, and I would start Worthy over Pickens. And I love Pickens. I was comfortable to start him last week, guys, but the Pat Surtain treatment is not something I want to be a part of. There's a reason he's the #1 paid cornerback in the league. So I will go Worthy there. I will. But you can see why this is such a difficult decision for me, because in my own rankings, they are so close, Brent. But I would lean Jameson. And then if Jameson is, let's say, limited or on a snap count, I would probably go ahead and put Worthy out there. But Styles makes a great point, man. Consolidate all these options. If you have Pickens, Worthy, Jameson, Brian Thomas, and all of them are options weekly that you can flex and you don't need to start them, you should be packaging George Pickens and a wide receiver to upgrade. You should be packaging, Jameson Williams and a running back to upgrade, or Brian Thomas and someone to upgrade somewhere, because you've got just too many options on a weekly basis. You're going to be frustrated that consistently in and out you make the wrong choices because you have so many good options. So I agree with Styles there. All right, we got a super chat here from Michael. He's skipping the queue. Appreciate you, Michael. And Michael says, Super Flex League, Jefferson, Wilson, Kupp, Ayuk, Devonta Smith. Start 3 quarterbacks, Stroud, Brock, Wait, start 3. Oh. I thought you were saying start 3 quarterbacks. I was like, you're in a 3 quarterback league? All right. It is Superflex, though, right? What is the question here? I'm trying to... hold on. Jefferson, Wilson, Cup, Ayuk, Devonta Smith. Start 3. It's start 3 between those receivers? That's the question, right? Because then we talk about running backs. Kenneth Walker the third are two running backs. Am I choosing 3 wide receivers and 2 running backs here? Is that what I'm doing? If I am, we're playing Justin Jefferson. Wow, guys, look at these options you guys have. All right, Cooper Kupp is my number 1 receiver of these names this week. We would then have to start Jefferson and Garrett Wilson. That's 3. The running back spot, you're going to play Saquon Barkley. Kenneth Walker will not play, so you're going to play Dobbins. If Walker plays, you play him over Dobbins, but he won't play. And then that means you have to put Ayuk on your bench, but I love Ayuk this week. That's really tough. I mean, bro, package Devonta Smith and Ken Walker and go get Breece Hall or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, go out and do something like that. Well, you already got Garrett Wilson, but get Bijan Robinson or something. You know what I'm saying? Great team. Very, very good team. I appreciate the super chats. Very kind, everybody. Very, very kind. Thanks for the donations. You are helping the channel grow for sure. Keeping the lights on over here. Super chats do get prioritized straight away. Otherwise, I'm going in order from top to bottom. And the next question in order is from DJ. He says, Charbonnet or Brian Thomas? We're going to go Charbonnet. We're going to go Charbonnet. And again, this is assuming, guys, that Ken Walker won't play. He is doubtful right now. So I would say 98% sure myself that we won't see Ken Walker. You guys let me know if you feel the same way. And when I updated my weekly rankings with that in mind, I put Ken Walker as my RB 22. 22, yes. Okay, so I'm playing Charbonnet. Sorry, I put Charbonnet as my RB 22, but I'm playing Charbonnet over Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, Swift, Ford, Najee. So I do think Charbonnet is a legit startable option. He's going to touch the ball so many times. All right, we got a super chat here from Unknown, so he's skipping the queue here, he or she, or, you know. Waddle and Gibbs for CMC and Mason. Waddle's on the bench. Waddle and Gibbs for CMC and Mason. Huh. Waddle and Gibbs for CMC and Mason. What do we think, chat? I wanna phone a friend. I want to phone a friend. Guys, let's help Unknown out here. Tell me Waddle and Gibbs or CMC and Mason. And the reason you would do this in theory is because you are locking up the 49ers backfield no matter what. Now, here's the issue. You are severely limiting your upside on a weekly basis. We got a lot of people with different opinions in the chat too here. The issue is you're going to limit your weekly upside. Like, look, when CMC is back, what are you going to do there? You have lost Waddle. This is very split down the middle, and you can tell even myself I'm struggling with this one. But I think I'm keeping Waddle and Gibbs. The only way that would be... no, we're keeping Waddle and Gibbs here. We are. Guys, you know, we talked about this a lot last night. I am not here to give an opinion on Tua. I just don't like, everyone's saying like he has to walk away for his family. I just don't personally think that someone who grew up around football can let his career end like that. I'm not saying he shouldn't. Clearly, health-wise, he probably should walk away. But the reality is, I'm a prideful person. I like to be good at what I do. I do things that aren't good for my health to feel better about my life. And I think mental health plays a big part in here, where I think a lot of people are thinking about his physical health. Think about his mental health. How would he feel if that was his last game and that was his legacy and that's how he retired? That's where my mind goes. And again, I'm not here to debate the morality of this or like what you think is true, or none of us really know what's going to happen. But I do think Waddle is going to end up being a potential steal in trades. Let's say week 8, 9, 10, even into the playoffs when you really want to win. So I am going to stick with the Waddle-Gibbs side of this deal. Because let's be honest, the way Jahmyr Gibbs looks in Detroit with his work in the air, he might outscore Mason any given week until you're ready for CMC anyway. So we are going to rock with the Waddle-Gibbs side. Thank you so much for the donation. That was a very fun question to think through. And clearly you could see there was a lot of thought behind it. And the chat had a lot of opinions on it, which is great too. Okay, Professor Antonio Neto. Thank you for the donation. Also, what are you a professor of? Because I would love smarter people in my ear, that are smarter than me. That's most of you. But what was the question here? Professor. I see the donation, Professor. I don't see the question, though. Here it is. DeMarcus or Brian Thomas? Ho. We're playing with fire here. They are literally 2 spots in my rankings different. They are literally 2 spots different in my rankings. I got D. Robinson as 37th. I've got Brian as 35th. I gotta rock with Brian Thomas here because I like to party. We say this a lot on the channel. Do you like to party? Because sometimes that will determine your answer. I like to party. Again, not every party is good for you. I hear you. But I appreciate y'all big time. Thanks for the donations, guys. Super chats do skip the queue. Otherwise, we go in order. And the next question in order is from Bounty. By the way, if you're popping your question in there, I'm going to get to your question. I'm just going in order. And of course, the super chats get prioritized. But Bounty says, flex Adonai or Ayuk. We're definitely going Ayuk. Guys, this tells me that you guys don't have the same confidence in Ayuk this week that I do. Let me tell you, I'm confidently starting Ayuk everywhere I have him, outside of that one guy who had the Thanos team that we just talked about. But if you look at my rankings, for example, we've got Brandon Ayuk as a top 14 play. So he is certainly going in all of our lineups if we can help it. I think he has a bounce back this week versus the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, we are going to start him. Brian Orlando says, what's up, guys? Start 2, half PPR. ETN, B-Rob, Najee Harris, and Jordan Mason. We are going to go with ETN here and Jordan Mason. Good luck. Jordan Mason or J.K. Dobbins? Jordan Mason. Is it a buy low for CMC? I don't know, guys. I think Tyreek is a buy low with the situation there. I don't know how to gauge CMC. And how could you buy CMC right now when we all need to win games? When do you play CMC next? What's up, Angelo? Dak or Baker Mayfield this week? That's a great question. Haven't had that one yet this week. We are going to go with Dak, but it is very close. Akshay says, would you trade away Jordan Mason and Amari Cooper for CMC? My running backs are Gibbs, Kenneth, Achane. Wow. I'd like the chat to help us out here. Would you trade away Jordan Mason and Amari Cooper for CMC? I'm going to blow my nose. I'll be right back. Okay. I thought most of you would say yes, and everyone is saying yes. I would. Yes, 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 yes. So everybody is saying they would take the CMC side of that, okay? Hopefully that is helpful. We did get a super chat from I'm Cold. Put on a sweater. I'm joking. Thanks for the donation. Super chats do skip the queue here, guys. I appreciate you supporting the channel. I'm cold. And he says, flex, Pickens, Charbonnet, Worthy, Ramondre, pick 3. So basically sit 1, right? This is why they pay me the big bucks, I guess. To make a decision like this. This is why they pay me the big bucks, guys. A lot of pressure on this one. This is like... Okay. Very difficult question. Obviously, you can see that I'm struggling with this one. For me, I get Pickens is that dude. We loved Pickens. Y'all know this if you've been on the channel. We love Pickens. We loved him all the way back in the Dynasty channel, thinking about him coming out of Georgia. Love him. Obsessed with watching him play football. We were playing him last week versus AJ Terrell. We were okay with that. We are not playing him this week versus PS2, Pat Surtain. Pat Surtain locked DK Metcalf into the Shadow Realm. Of course, it only takes one play for DK to pay off. But we are sitting... Or Pickens pay off. We are sitting Pickens here. Tough question. Very difficult question. But thank you for the super chat. And best of luck. All right, guys. I'm going to go back to the top of the queue. Super chats do skip the queue. Otherwise, I'm going in order. And the next question is from Parker. He says, do I start Hurts or Daniels? You got to start Jalen Hurts. You can't sit Jalen. My quarterback 2 on the week. Let's see. Landon says, Jaden Reed for Jordan Mason. I have CMC. You know what? I'll say this. Jeez. This is like, this question is like asking me to predict the future, though. We all know what the answer to this question is, right? The answer is, if Jordan Love is back in week 3, you want the Jaden Reed side of this. What if CMC doesn't play until week 10? Then, of course, you'd want Jordan Mason. So this is all going to come down to your conviction. I don't know how anyone could have a strong conviction on when or when not CMC will play next. So I'd like to keep Jaden Reed, assuming Jordan Love plays in week 3. That's really tough. Really tough. All right, we got another super chat. So I'm cold to skip in the queue again with this donation. I appreciate you, man. He says, I'm a Steelers fan, though. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Hey, I mean, what's the pulse in Pittsburgh for Justin Fields? I feel like most Steelers fans want Justin Fields to play, and they don't want to see Russell Wilson. Am I getting that pulse correct? Let me know. Appreciate the donation, man. Very, very kind of you. All right, the next question that's non-super chat is from Flipsy, and he says, I have Rashad, Etienne, and Tony P. Should I look for a different RB1? Rashad, Etienne, and Tony P. I mean, that's a pretty solid room, bro. Obviously, you didn't go, running back in round 1. That's a pretty solid room. I would be looking to shop Tony P. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't believe in Tony P rest of season. I think he'll have some good games. I think he'll have some disappointing games. So I'd be open to shopping him. I mean, you can wait after this week. The Jets secondary is great. Their run defense isn't the best. But if you can shop Tony P and package him with another name and turn him into a Derrick Henry, Pacheco, Kamara, type of name, that would be obviously ideal. So, yeah. Hopefully that is helpful. I appreciate you, man. All right, we did get some super chats. So, Jake is the first one that's a super chat, and he's skipping the queue here. Appreciate the donation, man. He says, Jalen Waddle and Ramondre for Drake London and Tajay. Who wins? This is pretty comfortably the Waddle and Ramondre side for me. I'd love to hear from the chat as well, because I could see how, with the Tua concerns, people might not be in on Waddle here. But like I said, you kind of have to make a conviction. And look, with new news, we can adjust our conviction. My conviction, personally, is just I don't see Tua ending his career like this. I do think he will be back. And I think Jalen Waddle will end up being a good buy low. Because a lot of people think that Tua's just done. And that could be the scenario. That could be the outcome. I'm way too prideful to do that, even though it's not good for my health. I could totally see myself. I'm not even an NFL player. I'm so competitive. I'm so prideful. I can't imagine sitting down and like literally every single media outlet is telling me to retire. Do you know what that makes me want to do? That makes me want to prove you wrong. That makes me not want to retire, you know? They might have the best intentions that they possibly could have, but if every media outlet, and they're saying it so confidently and so arrogantly, and they're telling me what to do with my life, I'm sorry, I'm going to do the opposite of that. I don't know. Like, he could totally retire, but if he's as competitive as I am, and I know he is, and why am I putting myself in his category? Like, I'm a professional player and I can relate. I'm over here playing college football 25, building a dynasty as if like I can relate to Tua tags. Look, that's just my opinion. So I'm going to keep the Waddle and Ramondre side of this deal personally. And it's not anti-Drake London. It's just Tajay Spears is, to me, the downgrade from Tajay to Ramondre is far greater than this perceived upgrade from Waddle to London. Appreciate the super chat, Jake. Thank you for the donation. All right, we got a question here from Lucas De Mello. Appreciate you, man. This is your first super chat on our stream. Very kind of you, man. He says, DeAndre Swift or Tony Pollard? Let's start there. I am going to go Tony Pollard this week. It's very close. These guys are literally one spot apart in my rankings, but I would go Tony Pollard. Jets' rush defense is a little more suspect than their secondary. And then Tank Dell or McConkey, it is a fair question. My concern with Lad McConkey, guys, I'll say this. If Josh Palmer is ruled out, that might change this for me. No, it wouldn't. It honestly wouldn't. I do like Lad McConkey as a play this week is what I'm trying to say. But thinking through game script, sometimes the defense you face might be so bad that you're not even needed. I mean, remember, last week, the Saints didn't even need Chris Olave. So there's a chance the Chargers don't need McConkey. That concerns me. Now, every week is different. So the Panthers could come out and they could have, figured out some stuff this week. But we are going to lean Tank Dell there as well, Lucas. I appreciate the donation. Very, very kind of you. Guys, super chats do get prioritized. Otherwise, I'm going in order from top to bottom. And the next question is from Yethao. Who should I trade Mason for? I have Brian Robinson and Kyrie. You got Kyrie Irving? You got Kyrie Irving in that backfield, boy? My brother has the best handles in the league in his backfield here. No, I get it. I know it's Kyrie. Well, we talked about this earlier. Hopefully you were on the stream. I feel like we went through this earlier. If you can trade Jordan Mason, for an Ayuk, we've seen that. If you can trade Jordan Mason for an Evans, a Chase, that's ideal. If you can trade him for, Joe Mixon, Pacheco, Kamara, Henry, those are kind of ideal moves. All right, we got a super chat here from Laughing Duck, so they're skipping the queue. Appreciate you, very kind. They say, Charbonnet, Josh Jacobs, Rachaad White for my open running back spot. My first question would be, are you in a PPR format? Because if you're in a PPR format, I'm going to go Rachaad White. In half PPR, Rachaad faces the Detroit Lions. That's a tough run defense to go against. In half PPR, we will throw Jacobs out there. But again, in full PPR, Rachaad White. I mean, Rachaad White had more receiving work than most of our wide receivers, right? Rachaad White outperformed Olave, London, Metcalf, in the air last week alone. So if there's any, if it's PPR, Rachaad White. If it's half, I'll go Jacobs. Very, very close. Appreciate the donation. Solvin Donkey with a donation here as well. They're both skipping the queue. Thanks for supporting the channel. Trade Pollard and Kirk for Pacheco. Trade Pollard and Kirk for Pacheco. I kind of like that. Look, if you're considering trading Kirk, I do think that indicates to me you're in a smaller league potentially. And when I say smaller, I mean you're either in a 10-team league or your starting lineup only has 7, not including kicker defense. So it sounds like Kirk is not that necessary to your lineup. And if that is the case, then yes, I would go get Isaiah Pacheco, the better running back in a better offense that is not going to split work rest of season. I like that deal for you. All right. King Henry here. I mean, first off, I am honored. We've got Derrick Henry in the chat. I mean, is Fantasyland football going places or what? We've got King Derrick Henry in the chat? Okay, appreciate you, man. He says, yo, Mason, Etienne, Dobbins, Ford, start 2. Got to start Jordan Mason. And then I honestly think Etienne and Dobbins is close, but we are going to rock with Etienne. Based off of everything we've heard this week from Doug Peterson, it sounds like he wants Etienne to be comfortable. And how do you make a running back comfortable? You give him touches, you let him get into the end zone. So I think Etienne does bounce back this week. It's a tough defense versus the Cleveland Browns. I definitely will give you that. But we're going to go Jordan Mason and Travis Etienne. But Mason is a must start for me this week for sure. Appreciate the donation, man. All right, we got Black Mamba McGee. That's incredible. Anytime you put McGee after anything, it makes it sound way better, right? Ramondre or Travis in the flex? Sheesh. Travis Etienne, right? Or is that Travis Kelce? Is that Travis Etienne or is that Travis Kelce? Or is that Travis Scott? You don't want to be at a Travis Scott concert, I'll tell you that. That's a bit insensitive, isn't it? Which Travis is this? Standard scoring. Ooh, standard scoring. Wow. So no PPR involved. That almost makes me want to just choose the best offense. And I feel as if that is Travis Etienne. So if there's no PPR involved, I think I would go Travis Etienne there. I just think that is the better offense to be a part of. I mean, you're not going to get any benefit from work in the air, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, we're going to go with Travis Etienne. Appreciate the donation, man. We got another donation here from Timothy. Appreciate you, Timothy. Thanks for supporting the show here. He says, traded Mason Worthy for Neighbors yesterday. Is that a loss? Traded Mason and Xavier Worthy for Neighbors. Timothy, this is... Does anybody out there play Call of Duty? This is what we would call COD timing. COD meaning Call of Duty. If you've ever played Call of Duty, you could be staring at the wall. You could be staring at it for 10 seconds. And then you're like, all right, I'm going to look the other direction. As soon as you look at the other direction, an enemy is right there, and they snipe you, and they kill you. This is COD timing. This is the definition of COD timing. You traded away Mason. It looked like CMC was about to play in week 3. You traded away Worthy. There were talks about Hollywood Brown maybe coming back week 3. And that is COD timing. You got headshot, sniped. Unfortunately, I love Malik Neighbors, but I do think you might have lost that trade, my brother. Who would have known? All these reports would have come out the next day, Timothy. You can't blame yourself for that. But here's what I will say, Timothy, you will enjoy watching Malik Neighbors dominate my Washington Commanders. It will be the highlight of your weekend. The highlight of your weekend, I promise you that. Thanks for the donations, guys. Appreciate you big time. I'm going to go back to the top of the stream and answer non-super chats all the way down. Super chats obviously skip the queue. The next one is from Keaton, Fields or Stafford. This week I'm going Stafford. Love the question, though. Both of those guys were on my video today, players I want to start. McConkey versus Pickens. I'm going to go McConkey. Do I trade Josh Jacobs for Rashad White? No, I think we hold on to Jacobs, but it's very close. Just with Jacobs getting Jordan Love back sooner than we realized, I think that's going to be beneficial for him long term. We are going to go Jalen Hurts here, Parker. Edgar says, have a weak wide receiver team. Got Jordan Mason. Who can I trade him for a decent wide receiver? Yeah, like in this scenario, I'm trying to package Jordan Mason and Josh Palmer. And then we're going to try and go get a Brandon Ayuk We're going to try and go get a Deebo Samuel, a Rashee Rice, a Nico Collins, a Chase Evans. You could even dip down to like the Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison territory. But I would say based off what we've seen, you could get more. So appreciate you. All right, Will Silv with a donation here. He's skipping the queue. Appreciate the support, man. This is your first donation on the stream. Very kind. He says, Jordan Mason or J.K. Dub? Gotta start Jordan Mason. He says, bonus points for 100 rushing yards. Gotta start Jordan Mason. Gots to start Jordan Mason. He is a top 8 play for me this week. They face the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings are a decent offense, but in reality, at least in my opinion, the Niners are going to take care of business here. They're going to be up. They're going to have a chance to run the ball out with Jordan Mason. I think he touches the ball 18 to 20 times. So we're going to go with Jordan Mason here. The better offense as well. Appreciate the donation, Will. Very kind of you. All right, we got Laughing Duck as well donating here. Appreciate that. Nico, Tank, London, Flowers. I see London. I see France. 2 flex spots. We're going to go Nico for sure. And then we'll probably start Drake London there. You know, Tank Dell is close. I'm not going to lie. But I'd prefer, if I have an option like London to pivot to in a really good matchup versus the Eagles, I'd rather just see how that pans out. I don't want to limit my upside too much, and that's a bit silly because, you know, you got 2 guys that could go for 30 any game with Nico and Tank. But we are going to go ahead and say Nico and London there. Water break. 1 sec. Okay. Appreciate the donation, man. Very kind of you. All right, Emmanuel is sauced up. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for the super chat. Non-PPR, Sharbs or Singletary? Wait. Is that Devin Singletary or is that Scary Terry? I'm assuming it's Devin Singletary. And if it is, we're going to go Charbonnet. The next question is start 2. Godwin, Devonta Smith, Nico, and Rashee. And this one, I feel like you have to start Nico Collins and Rashee Rice. Those are both top 11 plays for me at the wide receiver position. Rashee Rice looks like the steal of the draft so far, especially with the Hollywood news. Nico Collins, 8 targets last week. Yeah, I think you got to go with Nico Collins and Rashee Rich. Appreciate the donation, man. Very, very kind of you. All right, the next non-super chat question is from B-Dubs. He says, pick Mason off the waiver, have Kyron and Mixon, sit Mason. Yeah, I would play those other names over him, oddly enough. That's the first question today. I've said that. Danny says, would you trade Aaron Jones and Rashee Rice for CMC and Herbert if your quarterbacks are Rodgers and Fields? No, abso-freaking-lutely not. You're getting taken for a ride there, bro. Rashee Rice and Aaron Jones are by far the more valuable side given the concerns around CMC right now. Ken Walker or Dobbins? We'll go with Dobbins because I don't think Walker plays. He's doubtful. Do I trade Jacobs for Rachaad White? We already answered that one. Where do you have Chase ranked this week? I'm assuming you mean Jamar. I have him as my wide receiver 8 this week. I am a little concerned. We're playing him. You never sit a superstar like Jamar Chase. But we do have him at 8th. And just to explain, Steve Spagnuolo and this Kansas City Chiefs defense, they know how to take out your best weapon. Now, Chase has dominated the Chiefs historically, but there's no T. Higgins. There's no Joe Mixon in the backfield anymore. There's no tight end of note. Everything Kansas City is going to be thinking about is going to be stopping Jamar Chase. Will that mean double coverage? That's a little concerning to me. So he is 8th for me this week, but I still think he's a great play. Patrick says, Myers, Lazard, or Lockett. I'm going to go Jacoby Myers there. Watson or Adonai, Mitchell. Ooh, wow. Yeah, tough one, bro. I guess we'll throw Christian Watson out there. That's crazy. Actually, you know what? If Jordan Love does not play, And if Josh Downs does not play, we will go ahead and throw in Adonai Mitchell. But Josh Downs has to sit for us to play him. Appreciate you, RM. Yeah, our like goal on today's stream was 100. Are we close? We are. Yeah, we're very close. 18 likes away. Appreciate the support, guys. Anyone else already have Jordan Mason roster before week 1? Love it. Do I trade? We've already answered that many times. Standard just traded Montgomery, likely, and Zach Moss for CMC, Hunter, Henry, Warren. I'm okay with that. That's relatively even. I am going Parkinson over Pat Fryermuth this week. I do love Parkinson this week as a streaming option. Xavier Worthy, Malik Neighbors, or Brandon Cooks. We are rocking with Malik Neighbors there. One of my favorite starts of the week. We are going Daniels over Kyler this week, but it's very close. D-Rob or Kirk. I'm going D-Rob. Another very close one. Trade Jordan Mason for Olave or DK. Yeah, I'd say if Jordan Mason is like your third or fourth running back and you got some depth there, I'd be happy with Olave or DK. I'd be fine with that. I'd prefer Olave, but it's very close. Amari or DK this week. We are going with DK Metcalf, but he's got a tough matchup versus Christian Gonzalez. Start 3, 10-man PPR, London, Michael Pittman. Actually, Michelle Pittman. Marvin, Neighbors, Jameson. All right, start 3. We're going Marv. We're going Malik. And then we're going London. Good luck. Bounty says, is this a fair trade, giving Dak, Ayuk, and Mitchell for A.J. Brown? No, I'd rather have the Ayuk-Dak side. It's close, though. It's close. I just think Ayuk's going to be great. I think Ayuk's such a good buy low right now. Dobbins or Brian Robinson? That is a hilarious question just because I have them back-to-back in my rankings, and I've been battling with this all week. I'd love the chat's help on this one, actually. Guys, let's talk this through. Brian Robinson or J.K. Dobbins? Brian Robinson faces the Giants. J.K. Dobbins versus the Panthers. It's really, really close for me. It truly is. The issue with Dobbins is we could see Gus Edwards get 2 touchdowns. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I don't see Eckler. You know what I mean? I don't see Eckler taking goal line work from B-Rob. But to be fair, Jaden Daniels could. Yeah. The chat is very split. The chat is very split. I slightly lean Dobbins because of the matchup. But I can see it either way. All right, next question in order is from Energy. He says Amari or DK this week. We already answered that. Come on, y'all. What defense should we start? I don't know. What options are there? I don't know what your waivers look like. All right, Energy, you're getting very close to a timeout here. This is crazy levels of repeating your question in the chat because you didn't get it answered in time that was convenient for you. Come on, y'all. No one's questions are more important than someone else's. Stop being that guy and putting your question in multiple times. I'm going to actually look at the chat more intentionally right now. If I see it, I'm putting you in timeout. Come on. Najee or Pollard? We are going with Pollard this week. I just know he has a chance to catch passes. Don't see that with Najee. What's up, Dario? He says Hurts or Daniels. We're going Jalen Hurts there for sure. Taysom or Pat? This is the question of do you like to party? If you like to party, you're throwing Taysom Hill in there. But like I said, not every party is beneficial to your health. Angelo says start 2, Reed, Brian, Marvin, Jamo. We're going with Marvin Harrison, and we're going with Jameson Williams, assuming he's healthy. Now, if Jordan Love miraculously plays, we will start Jane Reed over Jameson. Jesse says, looking even more handsome today, King. Another question for you. Too kind. Got me blushing on stream. Start 2, Jason, Wandale, Adonai, B. Cooks, Shaheed. I do think we answered this. Maybe it was in a super chat, if I remember correctly, Jesse. Yes, we did answer that. Timbo says, do I play Etienne or Brian Robinson? I'm going to go Brian Robinson or Etienne there. It is close, though. Michael says, Superflex League. No, we answered this one. If AJ's a no-go, start Smith or Marvin. I would start Marvin. I would start Devonta Smith over Marvin if A.J. Brown's a no-go. Flipsy says, 12-man, what's the question? How do you feel about this wide receiver lineup long term? Amon-Ra, Diggs, Godwin, Pickett. I like it, man. I think that's a good group. For a 12-man league, I think you should feel good about that. Bailey says, hey, guys, should I flex Charbonnet, Reed, Keenan, DeMarcus, or Ford? Good Lord. Bailey, I want you to understand how low the chances of me hitting this question are. I am obviously going to answer it, and I appreciate you being here. But the chances of me getting this right with all these options is so low. My rankings would tell me to start Keenan Allen if he's healthy. If he's not, Charbonnet. Because Charbonnet should get all the work there. What's up, Joseph? Appreciate you, man. He says, need help at tight end this week with Ferguson out. Atkins, Ertz, Juwan Johnson, Shoemaker, or Kraft. Yeah, I'm just gonna throw Shoemaker in there, honestly. You know, Shoemaker was a second-round pick in the NFL draft, I believe, if not third. And he just hasn't had a chance to play. But we know Dak loves his tight ends. We'll throw Shoemaker in there. I don't know how you feel confident about any of those names, to be honest. Kirk or D-Rob, I'm going DeMarcus Robinson this week, but it is close. Actually, we do have Kirk one spot ahead of DeMarcus Robinson, but that doesn't feel right. We are going to go D-Rob. Should I trade away Worthy? It depends on what you can get back, man. What's up, Styles? Welcome in, brother. Dobbins or Neighbors rest of season? Easily Malik Neighbors for me. Dino says, is this a good trade? Neighbors, Connor for Rachaad White and Olave. Give me... Wow. Wow. That's about as even as it gets, isn't it? So the fact that I'm struggling to answer this tells me it's probably an even deal. This is going to come down to your conviction on two things. Number one, is James Conner the starter the entire year? Number two, does Rachaad White's workload get eaten in by Bucky Irving? And however your conviction is on those two questions is the way you would lean in this trade. But it is pretty damn even, man. Let me tell you, the guy that gets me the most excited is Malik Neighbors. All right, we got a super chat here from Serge. So Serge is skipping the queue with that donation. I appreciate that, man. Very kind of you. He says, start three. Flowers, Metcalf, Maserati Marv. Man. Maybe that's the issue with Marvin Harrison right now. Where's that announcer at? We need him in the NFL. Maserati Marv. If you know, you know. Dell, Brian Robinson. Okay. Start three. I've said this many times, but 11 targets for Zay Flowers feels like it's worth 5 targets for Jameson Williams in Detroit. It's just, they don't use him down the field. It's sad. It's sad the way they use Zay Flowers. It's disgusting. It's like what Ben Roethlisberger used to do with Deontay Johnson one of his last couple of years. You guys remember that? Deontay had like 160 targets, and they were all like right around 1 or 2 yards average depth of target. It was disgusting. Metcalf, Marv, Dell, Brian, full PPR. Okay, so we are going to start Marvin Harrison here. This is a tough one, but I'm not willing to give up on him just yet. I do think they will be more intentional with getting him open. This will also be DK Metcalf. He does have a tough matchup versus Christian Gonzalez, but DK is a boom or bust type of player. Like, think about this. If DK Metcalf has 3 deep targets, does Zay Flowers have 1? So we'll start Metcalf, and then we'll start Tank Dell. Why? Because Tank Dell had 8 targets last week. just as much as Nico Collins, more than Stephon Diggs. So he was still being targeted. It just wasn't his week. And this is what we said in the preseason. Like, hey, when you're drafting these Texans wide receivers, you got to know one of these guys won't hit on any given week. It's just going to happen. So that is my answer, Serge. I hope that's helpful. Like we said, Marv, Dell, Metcalf, good luck. Very, very kind of you for donating. Super chats do skip the queue, guys. Otherwise, we're going in order here. And the next one is from Steve. Trade Waddle for Mason. That's a great question. Trying to call on my ancestors for help there. No one answered. Yeah, this is you need a crystal ball for this one. You really do. How long is CMC going to be out? If I knew CMC was on the IR, I would take the Mason side of this. So if you think CMC is going on the IR, take the Mason side. All right, guys, I'm going to be live for the next 5 minutes, and then I'm going to log off for the day. Just so you guys know, this is technically Saturday for me. In fact, I am getting the call to end the stream now. So that is it for today. I technically shouldn't be live. Okay, I should be hanging out with my family. But I just wanted to get on live stream for y'all real quick. Andreezy with the super chat, and then we're going to end the stream. I appreciate all of you guys. You can still ask us a question offline. I'll put a link where you can ask a question at any time. In fact, I'm going to go answer questions over there after this. Or I'm going to hang out with my family, is what I meant to say. Andreezy, thanks for the super chat. This week, Kyler, Stafford, Stroud, Parkinson, Ingram. We're going to go Kyler there. Or, sorry, we're going to go CJ Stroud there. If those are all of your options. It's very close between Kyler and CJ. But with CJ, all those weapons, it's hard to sit him regardless of the matchup. And then we won't start Parkinson over Ingram. We'll still go Ingram. But I could see that being a conversation we have every week, depending on matchup. So that's it for today, guys. Again, I do really appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to everybody's questions, but like I mentioned, if you do really, really need a question answered, I'll pop a link here in the chat as I end the stream, and I will answer it at any time when I'm offline. Thanks for hanging out with me. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'm going to go enjoy my Saturday. And all love, guys. All love.